a what I like to term lavatory book. Probably comes out around Christmas, and its sole use is to be popped in the lavatory, and alongside maybe the best of The Far Side, and you can skim through it when you're doing whatever you need to do in there. And I think I seem to remember Simon Mayo had a Confessions book. I suspect DLT had something, almost certainly. A series of trivia questions. Obviously, Steve Wright, one of my great broadcasting heroes, has the what's it called, the Factoids collection, and so it'd be nice, I think, ultimately to have some kind of Steve Show book. And I'm hoping it'll be a book that's just sort of full of ephemera and nothing much, lists, amusing droll stories and the like. And obviously what we'll do is, if we ever do actually put this book out, and I'm thinking Christmas is going to come and go, we're not going to have time, let's aim for next Christmas. Gives us a bit of a window of opportunity. And what we want to do is just collect stuff together, and then ultimately we can put it out. We can give the money to charity. Don't worry. No, don't look at me like that. Charities are good.
You give your bit to charity.
Yeah.
And we'll decide what we want to do with it.
Because the reason, because we're not going to contribute to it. Obviously, we're going to get the listeners to contribute everything, because we don't have time or inclination to do that. So therefore, we have to at least give the illusion that it's going to go to charity.
But it was our idea. It wasn't the listeners' idea.
Well, yes, but listen, the thing is, right, this is what I've learned at the BBC is you can make claims all you like about money going to charity and whatnot. It doesn't have to go to charity. All right,
true,
you see, I work at the BBC. I know how these things work. I know what's going on in the meetings, in the secret corridors, handshakes and the like. What? You got a caller today, have you? No, I ain't got a caller. No. So, all right, for goodness' sake, we can laugh about it. Now, the time's gone. The moment's passed. Let it go. Oh my God, she's going insane again. She's going to tip over. So anyway, last week I seem to recall we put out an appeal for stories, things that you've said that you can't take back, things you've just blurted out momentarily, you've not really thought it through, and has come back to haunt you. So we're still going to collate some of those. I remember actually someone said to me once in the pub that they said to me, this is when I was younger, they said, thing is, Steve, people quite like you when they first meet you, but after a while they find you irritating. And it's weird because anyone who listens to the show knows that's true, obviously, but I remember thinking at the time, I think that's brutally honest, and yet probably strangely true. And over time I've tried to change my ways, and I've become more educated. I've got the occasional factoid or pithy anecdote, confession that I can wheel out at a dinner party.
It's really weird because my dad actually came out with something yesterday which cut me deep. We were talking, said something about boys fancying me, I haven't got a boyfriend, boo-hoo. And he went, yeah, you're alright looking, but it's your personality puts blokes off. And I was like, what? He went, no, men don't like a personality like yours, you're going to have to tone it. And I was like, and he wasn't being horrible, but I was
He thought this was a constructive piece of advice.
Oh my God, I'm never going to marry now, if that's what he thinks. Yeah.
But fathers do feel they can say things, particularly to daughters, I've noticed, more so than blokes. They do feel they can say certain things that cut deep, which they think are helping. Like I understand men, and this is something you won't know about men, but they don't like your personality. What is it about your personality that they wouldn't like?
Apparently I'm too loud and overbearing.
Yeah.
Men like to be in control, and I won't have that. So I'll never get married. I'm going to be eaten by Alsatians.
Do you what?
I'm just going to be found alone and dead and being gnawed at by Alsatians.
Right. So but that normally happens when the owner is being gnawed by their own Alsatians. So you've got to get Alsatians in order for that to happen.
I'll first procure the Alsatians, then die, then they'll eat me.
Right, these are dogs and not men from Alsace.
Yes.
Well, they won't like my personality, so yeah, I'm guessing the dogs.
Well, that's particularly harsh. Well, there we are. We'll add that to the list as well then. Things which your parent has said, which has just cut you deep. That's particularly cruel.
And my nana came out with a cracker one years ago saying and literally said these exact words: "You'd be good on radio. You've got a good face for radio."
Oh, really?
Yep. And she meant it. No irony, no jokes. My nana has no level of humour at all. Yeah. Just came out with it, and me and my mum were falling about laughing. She's going, I didn't mean it like that. What way did you mean it? What way could you possibly mean?
Was she
the face isn't attractive enough to be televised.
Was she thinking about the webcam?
She's not considered that at all.
No.
The webcam nowadays makes everyone they have to, well, exactly, that's true. Alright, so 64046 is the text, stephen.sixmusic@bbc.co.uk. We're trying to compile a list of either things which you've blurted out which you wish you could have taken back, or things which perhaps friends or relatives have said to you which have just cut you deep, maybe even helps you to reassess your entire life. I know it's happened to me. Has it happened to you? From his debut album, Sleep is for the Weak, which was released in January, that's Frank Turner and Romantic Fatigue. It's the Steve Show, BBC Six Music, back after this. Right, so Harry, you've been away on holiday.
Yes.
And actually, one of the emails or texts we had last week on the subject of things you've blurted out that you can't take back was a fellow I think a girl had asked him what she looked like and how he considered her, and he said, "Yeah, I think you look beautiful, you look great, but your head is slightly too large for your body," which is magnificent because
Can't do much about
there's
that.
nothing you can do about it. You see, with the personality thing and everything, just be a bit more mellow, a bit more sort of coquettish. All right,
just
a bit
smile.
more demure.
Yes.
And you can change things, but the head too large for the body. Nothing you can do. So, Harry, you live
You could
with
get
a...
incredibly fat.
I was just thinking that, yeah. put a bit
Well,
weight
I've
on.
often thought that about Posh Spice. I've always thought if she just piled on a few pounds, she would look in proportion a
Yeah.
bit more with the head. So I don't know if she's listening, but it's a good idea. If there's one thing Posh Spice loves, it's new music.
Yes.
Discovering new music, and discovering new bands, and that's exactly what you're going to contribute to the show right now by introducing me to a track or an artist that I'm unfamiliar or I've forgotten.
Yeah, that's true. Well, I was on holiday and we were in this hotel, and every night there would be entertainment. And one night, this this kind of vocal group came in, and they were taking requests from anyone. You know, someone wanted some Billy Ocean. They did some Billy Ocean.
Of course they did.
I thought, you know, what's gonna help these people in this hotel? What am I going to suggest? I thought, well, we're in the West Indies. You know, let's have a band that used reggae in the. You know, I'll ask for some Clash. And the guy got my piece of paper and he went, "This just says the Clash." He says, "I've never even heard of this band. You might remember this one by Whitney Houston." And it was that kind of level of entertainment. So I thought I wanted to come back today and play something a bit more choppy and exciting to get me back into the into the craziness. And
Sorry, I had to disappoint you, but I don't know what you're expecting from, a hotel band. You're never really going to get a lot of cutting edge.
I know,
music.
but
So
it was
here's
just
some obscure Aphex Twin on the mandolin.
it was just the idea that I'd spent a week with all this kind of MOR soft rock rubbish in my head, and so I wanted to come back and play something a bit punchy. So I picked a track by the Dirt Bombs off their second album, which is called Ultra Glide in Black. This is a cover of Sly and the Family Stone's Underdog.
Harry's choice for this week on the Steve Show, and what was it again, Harry?
Underdog by the Dirt Bombs.
And where will people be able to find that track?
They'll be able to find that on the Dirt Bombs' second album called Ultra Glide in Black.
Thank you very much indeed. Sammy, do you think you would have coped in sort of Jane Austen times?
I thought you were going to say the second World War. I didn't know what was coming.
No, because I'm just thinking because you were talking about your personality not up to scratch.
There were rebels.
And you're not being demure enough. Because I've often thought one of the things that frustrates me about whenever you see things like Pride and Prejudice and whatnot, particularly the adaptations, is that a gentleman will say something like, "Would you care to take a turn around the lounge?" Or probably the drawing room. "Would you care to take a turn around the drawing room?" Yes. They'll go for a walk. Normally by the end of the journey they're getting engaged or they're getting married, and that seems to be it. There's no sort of apparently you just have to be respectable, and a bloke asks for your hand in marriage, and that's it. That's all it took in those days. A lot easier than nowadays.
There were spinsters.
I'm a multi-award winner. I could have just walked up to any chick, at some kind of ball, and that's it. They'd have been obliged to marry me. Do you think you'd have coped, or would you'd have been a bit more irreverent?
It's hard to say because obviously if you're brought up in them times, everything's going to be different. But I think I'd be the spinster of the parish.
Would you?
Yeah.
Really? What would you be up to on the sly though to get your kicks?
I really couldn't say
no
on the
idea?
radio. No.
No?
I do have a knack for knitting. I'm not very good at it, but I enjoy it.
Sure.
So maybe I'd keep a flock and then spin them.
You'd keep a flock and then spin them.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Well, thanks very much indeed for that contribution. Dan, one of the other things I was going to add to the list of things for our forthcoming lavatory book.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
we've already got it out there. Things you've said that you can't take back, things that parents have said to you or other people that you wish they hadn't. And the other thing I was going to add was your worst day ever. Because I remember you were reminding me of what really was one of the grimmest times in your life.
Oh, yes. Yeah, you're thinking about my 27th birthday.
That was
aren't you?
one, yeah.
Yeah, which at the time ranked number 27 out of all the birthdays I'd had.
Right, in terms of the good ones.
You want
Sure.
me to share that with people?
Well, I think as an example of what the sort of thing we might have in the book.
Okay, well, the edited version and slightly cleaned up version as well would be that I woke up on my 27th birthday. Normally you'd be full of life,
Yeah.
ready to open the presents and the like. I was immediately sick.
Sure.
And then I kind of gathered myself together. I walked into work. My birthday's in February. It was horrible. It was grey. It was cold.
Yeah.
It was unpleasant. I walked into work. I lost my job.
Really?
Yeah. I was made redundant on my 27th birthday.
Okay, great. How long from the moment you walked in the door to when you were actually fired?
Probably about 10 minutes.
That's
I'd
nice.
say, yeah.
Pop your coat on the hook, Dan, and come into the office.
It was redundancy as well, so I've got the moral high ground there. I wasn't fired for
yeah.
some misdemeanour. It was, the firm had run out of money, so
Yeah.
they couldn't pay me. So
And you're the first man out the door.
yeah, I was gone. So I was sick again.
Right. Was that in anything to do with the firing? Or that
Well, I think later
We'll explore that,
We'll
yeah.
explore that. But just suffice to say, I didn't know at that time why I was constantly being sick. But,
Sure.
So I've got to midday on my 27th birthday. I've been sick twice. I've lost my job. I go out onto the cold, mean streets of Bristol.
Yes.
I'm walking with a couple of fellow redundees.
Sure.
We're thinking, well, let's get on benefits straight away. Let's get
Of course, that was the
Let's
first
get down the old job centre.
Yeah.
Now, on my way there, I've ever so slightly,
right.
I've ever so slightly sored myself.
You've ever so slightly soiled yourself on the way to the DSS.
Not very badly, just a bit.
Sure.
I'm
but
with former
even a
colleagues,
little
so
bit is enough.
a little bit, and I'm thinking, what do? I want to stop. Now I've got to keep going because I'm with people. And if
Yeah.
I stop, I'll have to explain why I stopped,
Yeah.
and I'll have to explain what I've done.
Sure.
So I've carried on walking on this horrible grey kind of day with soil, if you
Yeah.
like, on my person.
For some sort, with some sort, yes.
I've reached the job centre for a job seekers allowance interview.
Yeah.
So I'm in a job seekers allowance interview, having just lost my job on my 27th birthday where I've been sick. I'm
Yeah.
sat in my own.
Yeah.
On my 27th birthday.
Yeah.
Just trying to get some benefits, trying to get me £40 a week,
Sure.
or whatever, to see me through it. I sort of thought at that point, it's not a great day.
It's
is
not shaping up well, is it?
no. You'll be pleased to know things got no worse after that point.
Right.
I bottomed out.
Well, that happened on the walk.
Well, yeah, I suppose. I made it home eveventually.
Right.
Salvation came in the form of my parent, who came and picked me up, took me home.
Yeah.
Had to cancel the meal that we had booked for the
course.
evening. I think I'd gone down with some low-level food poisoning.
Of course.
Which explains some of the earlier mishaps. And spent my birthday evening eating a small part of a bowl of tinned mushroom soup, watching Coronation Street, and going to bed.
Oh. God, if you weren't as stable as you are, that's the sort of thing that would have sent you over the edge, isn't it?
Yeah, it wasn't great. It wasn't a great time for me, to be honest. No.
And did you bounce back?
Within I'll take anyone.
Well, indeed, yeah, absolutely. What a heartening story. So, if you've had a worst day ever, 64846, stephen.6music@bbc.co.uk. We're trying to compile stuff for our forthcoming lavatory book, and we need to think of names for that book as well. We've probably got a year or so to worry. Let's not rush into anything. Sebastian Tellier from his album Universe, and that's Black Douleur. It's the Steve Show, BBC Six Music. What's happening with the news, Jude?
We've got 1 minute, but Harry's got some emails.
Oh, really? Thank you very much. Are you eating?
Maybe.
Spit it out. It's Harold, go on.
Things you've blurted out. Tom's emailed in and said a rather overweight friend once said to me when referring to the small amount of food she ate, "I'm sure I'm anorexic." My reply was, "Why do you look in the mirror and think you're fat?"
Goodness me. That's unduly harsh, isn't it?
It's a bit brutal. And Kay says she was at the Big Chill and she met the oldest DJ on the bill, a German living in Austria. She said he told her she was 74. "Oh, you look good for 74," she said. "My father-in-law's 74, but he looks like he's had a hard life. He's Dutch, so growing up in Europe during World War II must have aged him prematurely." "Oh, but then I guess being German during the war, you must have had a hard life too." And things went downhill from there, basically.
Goodness me. Wow, that's the problem. There was always, the instances where you're thinking I must not say X is always the time you say X. It's always unpleasant.
Yeah, and massive embarrassment as well. For someone who's emailed in, "Listening to the radio has never made me feel so embarrassed. I'm mortified that my boyfriend is recounting his tale of woe to the nation, re-bottoming out."
Oh dear.
Ooh.
Looks like I might have another day to rival my 27th.
Exactly, yeah. I would like to be tiny, tiny Dan about now. From the album Brotherhood by New Order. That is All Day Long. There's much division here in the Six Music